All right, what's going on, guys? Welcome to the first episode of Mental Health Monday. We're going to get really uncomfortable. We're going to talk about some deep things, some personal things, but that's all right. That's what we're here for. We're here to get uncomfortable. We're here to get comfortable with being uncomfortable. We're here to talk about things. My intentions are to share my own experiences, to try and make it easier for other people to talk about what they have going on in their mind, and hopefully help you guys overcome some issues that you guys are going through. So let's get straight into it. All right, so the first thing I wanted to talk about on this episode is primarily depression and anxiety. Now, I'm doing much better now. Over the last year or two, I've improved dramatically, but there was a period of time, I'd say between the years of 2016 and 2018 to 19, actually. It's 2020 now. So, for that 2 to 3 year period, I went through some pretty tough issues with mental health, with anxiety and depression primarily. Now, 2018, I had just gotten out of the military. I'd served 6 years. I went in when I was 19 years old. I became a man in the military. I grew up, and I got out in 2018 with a mortgage, kids, wife, whole thing. I had commitments. I had bills. I had everything. And I also injured myself in the military. Now, I'm not going to go and try to make this dramatic and make it seem like I sacrificed anything major like other service members have. There's no disrespect to them. But I did injure myself. I injured my back, had a herniated disc, dealt with, numbness in my legs, basically limited my physical abilities. But for me personally, the physical limitations weren't the issue. The real issue were the mental limitations that followed after the injury. I'm a really physical person. I like to be active. I like to work out. If you follow my Instagram, if you see any, you know that I like to work out. Well, when I got out of the military, around that time, it was probably the worst point in my physical state. I was dealing with these issues that basically limited me and made me feel like less of a man. I wasn't able to work out as much as I would like. There were certain things that I couldn't do. I couldn't play with my kids the way that I used to. And it really impacted me. I think the biggest issue, though, was not being reflective enough. I got out of the military. It was a big transition. My entire life was changing. And I didn't really give that enough respect. I kind of just got out and played it off and said, hey, I'll deal with it. I'll figure it out. And I didn't really pay attention to the physical limitations either. I just kind of felt like, I'm hurt, but I'll get over it. I never really faced those fears head on. And, little did I know in the background, my mind was taking on all this pressure, and I never faced my fears. And ultimately it started accumulating, and yeah, I got pretty anxious. I became a pretty anxious person. I started to become worried about anything and everything. And that anxiousness developed into more than just mental thoughts. It started manifesting in my body. I started getting, I started feeling physically weak. There were mornings where I would wake up and I just felt like I didn't want to get out of bed. I felt like I didn't have the energy to work out. I felt like I didn't have the energy to hang out with my friends and family. I just felt nervous all the time. And, it just made me feel really incapable of doing anything. And following the anxiety and all these nerves, I started feeling depressed. I started feeling like I didn't want to be around anybody. I started to feel like I just wanted to be in a room all by myself, and I wasn't worthy enough of being around anybody, and I don't want to bring anybody else down with me. So, I just wanted to stay away from people. And not a lot of people know that I went through this. I try to hide it from people. Those very close to me, they know what I went through, but for the most part, other people didn't know. I did a pretty good job at hiding it. I put on a mask and I went out in public, and I did what I needed to do for the shortest amount of time that I could. And, I just went through life like that. Well, finally, it reached a point where I was just like, I can't keep living like this. I'm providing a lesser person to the people who I love and the people that I love that love me. So I decided, I need to figure out what's going on. I need to figure out how to do this. I've never really ran into these things. I never really had anybody teach me about this stuff. So my first decision was to start facing my fears. So instead of running away and when these thoughts would come, instead of just, coming in, succumbing to them, and I would listen to them. I would listen to the thoughts, and then I would kind of have like internal discussion, internal dialogue. And I would try to point out the reasons why these thoughts were invalid. And it took time, and it took a lot of courage, and it took a lot of patience. But ultimately, I was able to get out of it. And I'm doing much better now, but it did take a lot of effort. And so I understand, I sympathize, I empathize with people who deal with these things. However, my main point in this video, my main point in this discussion is to say anxiety and depression should not be a limiting factor on your life. You should not allow it. You cannot allow these negative thoughts to manifest themselves into physical impacts, into physical beings. You cannot allow those emotions to become more than that, more than just thoughts. Now, if you've been going through this for a long amount of time, I understand the difficulty that may come with it to be able to do that 180. But it's possible. I guarantee you it's possible. It's going to take some time. It's going to take some effort, but you have the choice. It's not okay to just give into these things. I see my friends posting things, and I see people around posting support for mental health issues. And I just think that the approach is all wrong. I don't think that you should succumb to it and tell people, hey, it's okay to just not do anything today. And I see both sides. I feel like there are some days where you should just, lay back, relax. But for the most part, you can't do that. You can't give into it, because doing that is surrendering. And if you surrender to your thoughts, you're going to become a victim. You're going to become trapped in this constant pattern of just thinking that you're anxious, so you become anxious. Thinking you're depressed, so you become depressed. Well, I'm here to tell you, I know that it may seem like there's no light at the end of the tunnel, but there is. There's a way around it. It's going to take courage, but I believe everybody who deals with these things can get through them. Now, I want to make it a point to say that I'm not talking about certain mental illnesses that are completely different from anxiety and depression. I know that there are diagnosable illnesses that are a completely different topic. Medication is necessary, all that stuff. I'm not talking about that. And I don't want to bring up any names of those illnesses because it's a pretty sensitive topic, and I don't want to give off the wrong impression. I'm speaking solely about depression and anxiety. Now, the same way that you can train your body to lift heavier weight, the same way you can train your cardiovascular system to be able to run more, to be able to increase your endurance. You can do the same thing with your mind, but you're not going to do it by running away. The same way you're not going to get stronger by not lifting weights, you're not going to get better mentally by running away from your thoughts. You need to face your thoughts. You need to face them head on. You need to have the courage. And there's nobody else that can do it. There are people that can help. You can have a support system. But I'm telling you right now that the only person that can change your life is you. The only person that can change your mind is you. And you have that ability. That's all I have for today. I appreciate you watching. I hope these discussions help. And keep on the lookout for the next video. Thank you.